another episode of the Money Mindset Podcast presented by Park Bank. I'm Rob Chappell with Madison 365, and with me today, the co-host of the 365 Amplified Podcast, Stephanie Díaz de León. How you doing, Stephanie?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful, thank you. Also joining us, the first Vice President of Branch Banking at Park Bank, Suzanne Johnson. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, thank you.
And also with us today, Jeff Mack, who's the first Vice President of Business Development at Park Bank. How you doing, Jeff?
Doing well, thank you.
All right. Today we're talking about young money.
Mm-hmm.
Preparing young people to
we're not
be
talking
financially
about
responsible.
Money that it just, entered circulation or something like that. No. We're talking about money for the youth, right? And it's interesting, right? Like as we are thinking about, or we've been talking the last couple of weeks, we've kind of hinted at this a little bit about, remembering when we first had conversations about, certain things like credit, et cetera. But like, and again, I'm going to swerve a little bit, y'all, and ask you, like, well, how old were you when you first started having conversations with your parents or your, or a loved one or somebody you trusted about money?
Very young.
Yeah.
Just even budgeting, that type of discussion, or being trusted with you'd get a budget, you would be tasked with going to the store with getting so many things. So I think budgeting, I learned that very young. Maybe
wow.
7, 8, I don't know.
Mine was, I think, through allowance.
I was going to say, that was mine too.
Yeah,
allowance.
I think mine was allowance. I think it was like I learned that, when you're young, you just, if you want to get something, you ask your mom or your dad for it, or, your guardian. And I think for me, it was just, I had to do some work around the house. I got paid something. Then I got to use that money to do what I wanted to do with it. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And so then it was about, and then there was a conversation around how you should save some of it, which I didn't do a lot of.
Yeah, same.
But I was big into comic books, and so I'd spend all my money on comic books. And so, but my dad, I think, because my dad was into comic books too, and so his whole deal was like telling my mom, well, he's learning his vocabulary. So we'd both be in the back reading comic books.
Art.
Yeah. So I think that was my first take into it. And then when you got a job, when I got my first job, then it was like trying to split up the money, save and stuff like that. So
yeah, I think mine was around the same thing with regards to allowance. Like allowance is when we all got something that we could, because there was four of us in the household, and the 3 youngest of us, like, we didn't know where the money went. Like, all allowance was good. But watching my sister, like, telling us, like, if you save it, y'all, you can buy something bigger. And we just, we're like, but, like the book fair, right? And all I bought was a pen, and she bought, like, a notepad, a pen with a fluffy little thing on top of it, and a book.
got the Trapper Keeper.
The Trapper.
5-star.
And she got it. Yeah. But we were all like, we're going to buy this little small tchotchke right now.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the best thing. And I've already lost it. I don't know where it went.
Yeah.
How about you, Rob?
I think it's very similar that I just got an allowance, and it was sort of, but there was not much conversation about it until well into high school when I had a job, and then it was there were discussions about how to get bills paid and how to set money aside, and then once leading into college and getting college loans, like that's when there were conversations about keeping track of things, because you got a whole semester. This is the amount of money you have to spend the whole semester, so watch it. Be careful.
Yeah. Awesome. So, remembering all of our experiences, like, when should a parent start having conversations about money with their kids, with their children? Or when did you start?
So my kids, it was, it was, I guess I would say it would be early. It was early on. It was probably 10, 11. At some point in time, you want to just be kids. And,
enjoy things.
But I do think giving them an understanding of, like, money doesn't grow on trees. That was a thing I remember hearing. So therefore, I talk a lot about. Also, just understanding that, like, mom and dad work hard to have this money to spend on these experiences, and hopefully that they're seeing the experiences that they get from it, and there's some corollary. There's some corollary with that, right?
Yep.
Like, oh, mom and dad make this so that we can go here. So there's some value add in the sense of, like, working hard gets you nice things or something, right? So we use, and Suzanne will probably speak a little bit more about this. I'm just a user of it. But Park Bank has this thing called Greenlight, which is it's amazing. It's really cool, like online app that kind of teaches kids about money. Also, you can kind of set up ways to like put money in their accounts through the app, and then they can like have like tasks and lists that they have to check off in order to receive their allowance or this type of money. So it's a really cool thing. I would encourage anybody to take a look at it if they have young kids, because you can kind of set it and forget it, and then they'll give the kids will get like these alerts of things that they have to do in order to get the allowance that they want or that we've agreed to. And then if they don't do the stuff, you'll get like a notification. The parent will get a notification and say, "Hey, they haven't done this stuff," so you can cut off the allowance.
You're like, nope.
And then I'll be like, "I don't have my money." I'll be like, "Well, did you do your laundry? You put your laundry in the laundry room?" You know what I mean? Like, and so I think it just teaches responsibility and accountability. I think at the end of the day, right, that's what you want. You want to make sure these kids understand that, or your kids understand that, with again, the comic book thing, with great power comes great responsibility, and that with getting this money, yes, that's great, but you need to do something for it, and we're going to keep an eye on you and keep tabs on you and make sure that you do it. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
No, I can talk about Greenlight all day. We'll go to that in a moment because it's been great for my kids. But I teach my kids like about earning money. Like when I grew up, you had to earn it. Like chores were expected. It was not an allowance. Yeah. It was like you don't get paid for doing the expectation. But if you did something extra, like the garage or like that, like something extreme, you get paid for.
Oh yeah.
Wait, so it wasn't an allowance? It was just
no,
what'd y'all get? What'd y'all call it?
I can ask how I can earn money, but it was not an allowance.
So like same thing. I was same thing in my house, but like so the allowance was like, okay, so you're expected to clean your room because that's supposed to be what you're supposed to do, and you're expected to like clean some part of a room. Yeah. Like a living room, dining room. Yeah. But if I made dinner, I got extra money. Like,
really?
Right.
Yeah.
Outside of it could not be the norm.
Yeah, yeah. You're supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to put your plate away.
Right.
You're supposed to fold your laundry.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. But if you did extra to help,
but that wasn't called an allowance.
No, not. I mean, I did not get a steady allowance. It was like if I wanted something, I could
do the extra.
Ask my mom, like, how can I earn this amount?
Oh, okay.
But I did the same in a sense with my kids, although I do allowance. I'll get to that in a little bit. But I want to talk about a story when my son was younger. And my mom would always say, like, okay, like, you're buying them all that stuff. Like, it's not going to be great habits. And one time my son was like, on this toy that I bought him, he was breaking it. He was probably like 6 or 7. He's just stomping on it, breaking it. I'm like, hey, you're going to break it. He goes, so what? You'll buy me another one.
Ooh.
And I was like, and he's a really sweet kid, but it was just like,
that moment.
I did not buy anything for so long.
that moment, you're like, oh.
I started teaching him about like how much things cost and how you have to earn it. And we went to the store a couple times, and I feel like it was harder for me as a parent. I was like, nope, I'm not buying that because how you took care of your things. And that is where I kind of resorted back to like, you need to earn, like you guys need to earn things. Because I mean, they're growing up way different than the way that I grew up. So that's kind of what I do with my kids. But they do have chores. From Greenlight is amazing. So we sit down and we designate, okay, which chores. It's really cool because you can also make it where they have to say they did it. Or that you certify that it was done.
So, nice. They're like, if it wasn't spotless, so it wasn't done with my mom. Right. She's like, that's not spotless. Like, dang it.
Right.
Do it
Or they
again.
want to get something different. They can ask to earn it. I think it's a good thing that I've taught them. Like, they can say, Mom, what can I do to... I've done that with my kids now because it's teaching them more about money. And my son is an excellent saver. Excellent saver, understands it. My daughter, I still got to work on. I still got to work on.
You put her.
She's the youngest though. We're still.
You put her on blast. She out here.
She's gonna hear this and be like, Mom.
But all constant, like they know what credit is. They know what a mortgage is. So like we have those. I would say we've been having those conversations since like maybe 5th grade of like, what is credit? What is, it's important to pay your bills on time. Like just conceptually so that they can understand what things are. So.
Okay.
Do they understand it all? No, but if you ask them what credit is, they could explain it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I think that's super cool. Like I don't know if I do that with my kids more than I think. It's more of a show, not tell. Like, and I'm not saying either way is right or wrong. I'm just saying like that's just kind of how we've done it. There's conversations, and I'm not going to. My wife, I'm sure, has additional conversations with them that I'm not always there to, but to hear. But I think our kids have a good sense of what earning is and what doing something for a benefit is, right? And so I think that's the first step, and then obviously, then I think it's this weird step of like how do you get them to like see value in what they do and why they're doing it, other than just something that's very myopic. Right? How do they see the value in like the holistic approach? But that's a different conversation. Yeah.
Thinking about it as kids get older, what's the best way, other than having these honest conversations? As we mentioned in previous episodes, like some people, some families, it's just money's a scary thing to talk about, right? So just like kind of breaking that down, having these honest conversations, modeling good financial literacy. Yeah. What are some best ways for a kid as they become kind of like teenager, high school age to kind of lay a foundation for financial success in adulthood?
Well, like establishing credit and understand what credit is a big one. But especially if they're going to be going off to college or as they start using their own debit card, they're going to the stores. Same thing that they do to us, they're doing to our young folks of like, you want this discount? And so do they understand the impact to that? It's not going to be worth that 30% off at the time. So being strategic with it, but preparing them. Like when you go on campus, everyone's going to be asking you to apply for a card. Like you don't need the free gift. So I think also mentally preparing them.
I mean, that's a really good point. Like I do remember like my first time being on a campus and like all these like credit card opportunities. You sign up right now and you'll get this shiny new thing. Oh, but I don't need shiny. But like there's so many opportunities to sign up for something shiny that you may not qualify for, but because they got your information, they're going to use it in a different way for all these other things sometimes. And it's an important conversation to have with your kids about like, hey, you're about to enter into a space where I have less oversight or ability to watch what you're doing or what you're up to that I can't always guide you. So here are some things to be aware of and understand, like, if you apply for this is how it might impact you in the future, right? What the consequences of those decisions are.
My mom and dad always stress, like, trying to start fast. So kind of this old, like, kind of sports analogy, like you start fast so that you do things really well first so that if you do slack off a little bit, it doesn't affect you as much. I know it sounds do really well so you can slack off. But I think my dad was, or my mom and dad were just more about like setting really good foundations, getting your pillars really put in place. And to me, that's what I think I try to, I hope I'm emulating or I'm trying to showcase for my kids. It's just this idea of like getting your pillars in place. So, in my mind, it's like making sure you pay all debts on time. You don't ever have to, you establish credit, but then you just never utilize it, or you utilize it, but you just pay it off right away. And then having some type of checking and savings and understanding the value of saving some of your money for a rainy day or for that bigger ticket item that you speak of. But then also being able, and then one thing I do think we do try and do is we try and make sure they can spend their money and have fun with it, right? I mean, you don't want it to be this very like, I do all this hard work and I have to save it all for this
one thing
time down the road when I'll need it at its most. Like you almost like put fear into the money side, right? Like I think you want to make it that it allows you to afford the fun things in life, but also you have to be prudent with it and you have to be smart about it. And I think I think what Greenlight helps with is like kind of creates a list, right? It kind of like lets you check it off, so you become more strategic and more. You have some more due diligence around how you're using the money, why you're using the money, what you're doing for it, why it works, why it doesn't. I think it just provides all those kind of like real again that foundation for how money is looked at in the world today for adults like ourselves.
And I think it allows parents almost like what's the word for it? More security and teaching your kids about financial, like how to balance it. Because you have so many controls. Like, so your kids can have their debit cards. They can use them, but you can control if you wanted to where they use the cards.
Oh, nice.
And you can put approval limits on it. So it's a safe way to start to teach your kids about it. Like my son, he's 15. He's used his card once he used his card, and once he had to do a dispute. He's like, yeah, I had to dispute that. Well, now he knows what a dispute is very early on. So, and you can see all the transactions. You can set up any parameter that you want. So I like that. Like getting them that experience of knowing what's in their account. Like, so I asked them, like, did you bring your card? They'll ask me for them. I'm like, do you have your Greenlight card?
Did you got your own money?
They start doing that. They want to spend your money.
Because
now
they have money in
about
their bank.
their money.
I know.
Right.
Now they're all like, oh, no, I got to save that. For what?
Yeah.
You told me to save. I'm like, no, some of that's okay for you to use and spend for yourself.
Exactly.
I mean, and I think even like the basic stuff of just like having it on them when they're going someplace, right? And protecting it, right? So it's like the actual physical piece of it too, right? You have that credit card. And again, I think, can we use it is there an app?
Yeah.
Oh, there's an app using it?
Yep. Apple Pay.
Apple Pay?
I was going to say, like...
It works for Androids, too.
Let's say, y'all go again. But yeah, no, I mean, even just that, and, or if they did lose it, like, I mean, one of my daughters lost theirs, and then it was like, all right, we have to go on the app and we'll shut it off until we find it, right? Like, it's getting them ready for the future, right? And what that future will look like. I mean, obviously, it'll probably change when they get to our ages. Hopefully, it does, but they'll be prepared as they continue to move on. So.
And they get to be in a protected space as their digital identity gets built, right? Like bringing back, and as their credit gets built, like all of that, like our last episodes, like it's a safe way for a parent to help guide and give education to, and for that, your child and your, to experience what it means to have money and what it looks like and what things you have to be aware of or be wary of, with some guardrails there.
Yeah, and again, I know we've talked about it for the last couple of weeks, right? It's just really interesting and amazing balance of you being able to really feel comfortable in your digital world and in this digital space that we have, and that makes things so accessible and easy to use, but also to kind of balance that with like real world connections and relationships that you have to build, right? Kind of like anything, right? Like we have a lot of kids that have an amazing ability to navigate the social media space, right? But maybe they might not be as well versed when they have to sit down and talk with someone, face to face. And then conversely, we probably are really good with conversing face to face, but then you put us in front of a gadget, and there's some questions that get arose. Yes, I use the word gadget.
A gadget?
I use the word gadget.
What gadget do you mean? Rotary phone?
No, I mean, bullying also is not a good thing. I just want to let everybody know that, right? Can we talk about bullying in the next episode?
We will talk about that. That'll be a special episode.
Please and thank you. I would like to be a part of that. But I think what we try to do, not just Suzanne and I with our kid. Not that we're married, we have separate families. I'm messing up all over the place right now. But with our respective families, is we try to make sure that they can see the balance of both, right? Understand the digital world and understand how you have to be very understanding, wary, but also cautious and conscientious around how you use it. But at the same token, like one of the value adds with working with a relationship bank, a community bank, and a bank that has technology on the forefront of their products is being able to kind of use both and be comfortable using both, be able to speak up and dispute something if need be, to call someone and reach someone on the phone, but then at the same point in time, be well-versed enough to be able to utilize the digital world in the best way possible.
Yeah, I think we become more in partnership with our kids as they learn their financials with the app, because it's like, Mom, can you transfer this from my savings here? So, like, they start getting comfortable with understanding how a transfer works, or, hey, this transaction happened. So now they're starting to, like, put the pieces together.
Even the terminology.
Right, the terminology. So if you ever had, or, like, my son forgot his boot bag, but my Greenlight card isn't it? Right away, he thought about it, but he knew he can go to the app and lock his card. So like it's teaching them a lot about finances at probably a quicker pace because they have the hands-on. So eventually when you're talking to your banker, you have partnership with your banker, it's much easier to talk about it because you're more well-versed and fluent. The other thing it does is you can pay your kids interest, like you can assign the interest on it to teach them the value of interest. So I could say, whatever you save, I'll give you 3%. And I can set it up where it comes out of like my account and they learn how they're getting interest. And then it will automatically put funds away to a bucket for giving.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
I think it's like 1% or whatever. But whatever is going into there, it'll put a certain amount in from their allowance, and then they can choose to give it to a charity if they want to.
That's amazing.
They can choose to give it to a charity. So I have some children that aren't yet charitable, so I just want to let y'all know.
Not everybody is planning to use that 1%.
We're working on it.
But it covers
maybe if you tell her you'll match it, like whatever you give, I'll match it.
Yeah, but I don't even want to give to what she want to give to. I don't know yet. It does. Like I don't know if it does. That was yes, good point. I don't know if it does, but that's something I've always wanted. Anyway.
Yeah, and I also imagine that it allows your kids to ask questions, right? Like getting comfortable, because I think it's a really important thing too. Is like it wasn't always modeled for me growing up how to ask questions of your bank, right? There was kind of this fearful thing for whatever reason, whether it be cultural, whether it be generational, it was just this fearful thing. But practicing that as a child with your parents makes you, and watching them and modeling that, and then even like being allowed to kind of start that conversations with your financial institution too for them at that age. Like you said, not only gives them the verbiage, but gets them comfortable with that idea of like, oh, I can ask this question of this banker because they work for me too. They're there for me too. They're a safe place for me too. They're something I trust too. I imagine, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's called Greenlight.
Yes.
And how does one get enrolled in Greenlight?
So if you have an account with Park Bank, like your checking account, we could send you a link or we could do it on the spot here, and it allows you to set up the accounts for your kids. So, and then once they have it, it'll send them an invite to the app. So it has its own app. And then I recommend like sitting down. It was fun when I set up with my kids because it also has like financial literacy games, like fun games that they can play. But assigning the chores or the things that they want to earn or make money for, you can do that. And then kind of walking through. It's very user friendly. Everybody here is very excited to talk about it. Like Jeff was talking about, like everyone loves it that uses that I've talked to.
I mean, even like the card.
I love it.
Like the card has like you can
put their face on it.
You can put their face or pictures on the card for them. Yeah. So I mean, it makes it fun, right? And again, money conversation is not always a blast, right? Yeah. It's very like you have to be
responsible.
You're accountable and all that jazz. And so it could be somewhat difficult, but I think if you can put a little spice to it, and I think Greenlight does a fantastic job of that, and then I think we do a good job of trying to make it as fun as possible, but also letting them know that there's responsibilities that are necessary for them to get the money that they want, and so it's a cool balance, right? Yeah. And I think this product is a really awesome way to like not crawl, but kind of like get into it, right?
Yeah. So, and maybe even meet, like we've been talking about for the last couple episodes, about like your own responsibility, right? What you're also giving them is the opportunity to understand what it means to like read through your bank account and understand what you spent your money on. Like when you say like, I got no money, I'm like, well, what'd you spend it on? You got access? You got an app?
Yes.
Look at it.
Right.
Or for the parents out there, I don't know, my kids would be like, can I use your card to sign up for this? I'm like,
yes.
no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I'll buy you a gift card and you can use that, but I don't want it attached to my card. I don't have to worry about it. So now they're learning of like, here's the sites that are okay. Here's what you should look for. So it's also teaching them that part.
Yeah.
Protecting their digital stuff.
For sure.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back right after this. The Money Mindset Podcast is presented by Park Bank. You may not know this. In fact, I didn't know it until recently. Park Bank gets its name from the street where it started back in 1966. That's right, it's Park Street, right on Madison's south side. Park Bank is rooted in this community and has kept that focus and commitment as it's grown across Dane County. That means it's not just a place to put your money or to take out a loan, the people at Park Bank are your neighbors. They care about this community as much as you do, and they care about you too. They'll help you identify your financial goals and help you every step of the way to achieve those goals. Connect with your local community bank today. Stop by any branch, call 608-278-2801, or visit parkbank.com. And we're back for a segment called The Math Isn't Mathing, where we talk about common financial mistakes. And what we're going to talk about today is getting what you pay for. Or the fact that you do get what you pay for. Because sometimes it's a mistake to go for the deal.
Yeah.
You think it's a good idea to spend less on something, but maybe that's not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
Can we think of any examples of those?
Well, I'm going to start just with you and your headphones. You're better now.
Oh.
Because Rob used to love these like earbuds. But he would buy only the cheapest ones, and we would, every week, you would get a new shipment from Amazon for another version of an earbud. And I was like, can I just pay for, like, just some nice ones?
Yes.
And they've lasted you forever.
Well, but there was a reason for that. There was a reason for that, because I thought I would lose them. Or put them through the wash.
Yeah.
In my
that's
pockets.
true. And
so
you do.
I'd always want to spend like $20 on ones that, but then they would last like a week and a half, and then one of them would be out and whatever.
Yeah.
You get them at like Walgreens or whatever for $20, but you're totally right that you get like you go a few weeks with those, and you might as well have bought a pair of AirPods.
Yeah.
Right.
By the time you were done with it.
Yeah.
Some better ones.
Which you can't lose because of Find My on your iPhone, which is that solves my problem.
Oh wait.
They also have that find something for Google phones.
Oh, okay, I was going to ask.
Just so everybody knows.
Yeah.
Oh, see,
I don't know
welcome though.
I don't know yet. Don't
welcome to this conversation.
Now I'm getting welcomed in. That's something else.
I think the last thing I could think of is airline and flights.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking I'm going to save money by driving Chicago, it's like 3 hours. Not even thinking of the food, the gas, the parking. Right. So by the time you do all that, you could have just bought a flight.
Yeah, you could have bought that flight.
From Madison, right from home.
Yeah, save money.
You can park close, too. Like, because in Chicago, you got to go lot G or F.
Yes.
You got to take
$18.
Or you take the bus.
Yeah, and then you
get
got to take the
that
bus.
savings. Instead of being at $100
it's still at $18 a day, like while your car's parked there, and you still got to wait. Like you have to get there earlier than you want to.
Yes. So I try to just be strategic with that and make sure, obviously, the cost makes sense too. But it definitely does make sense when you're spending more to drive.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, mine, I don't know. I say like. I had a friend that used to like get a cheap haircut. I was like, this guy was wild. He was out here looking crazy. You know what I'm saying? So like, I mean, because he mad at you got a barber you want to work with, and like he busy.
Yeah.
She's like, well, I'll just go to the guy right here so I can get out of here.
But if that guy's free, there's a reason.
Yeah. Man, I came out there looking like Officer Hightower. Man, looking problematic. Yeah.
And you gotta stay like that for a couple weeks. It's not like it's gonna like all of a sudden it's gonna grow.
You stuck like that. You stuck like that. Yeah, you look crazy. So I don't, I do feel like everybody always tries to. I mean, sometimes with food, right? Like you want to get something cheap. I mean, we could talk about a whole thing around healthcare, right? And like. Trying to buy food at fast food places because it's cheaper and it's you can get more.
It's right there, less, right? Yeah. It feels like it. Yeah.
So I mean, I think, and kind of going back to the idea about math and idea around banking, around money and stuff like that. It's like there's value in the dollar, right? And there's value sometimes in paying. You have to you pay for what you get. Yep. And I think sometimes buying something that's a little bit nicer is worthwhile. Yeah. And then sometimes there's a social piece, a social capital piece that works with like buying something that's nice, a nice shirt or, wherever you buy it from, and sometimes if you can get the free shipping, that's also great.
I mean, I don't disagree. The free shipping is 50% off.
Yeah, right. But I think sometimes some of us are people of like trying to find the deal, and seeing value in finding the deal, but then. Sometimes that deal doesn't always pan out the way you want it to. Okay. So, So,
what about you, Rob?
Well, you already talked about my.
I talked about you because it drove me crazy.
Are you an AirPod guy? You don't like headphones? Why not headphones? Just too much?
There's too much to carry around.
Too much
That's
to carry around.
AirPods because it's got them in my pocket.
Is there?
I might use headphones.
Are we this efficient? Like we can't carry around the
My
headphones
ears
anymore?
like don't fit those things. My ears are so. I always have pain or they're falling out.
Yeah.
My
So
ears are tiny.
I used to get like swimmer's ear from like. Remember, I would get ear infections all the time from the whatever ones they were. Like, so I use headphones.
Yeah, I would rather.
Yeah, and then you'd hear everything. I don't have to listen to anybody.
You was out there
Not
using them
showing
Nashitashi 300s like you didn't know what you had. You was on a Walgreens.
I know. So I bought my ones. I bought some really nice AirPods, and I was like, you know what? Just have mine. These
are they called AirPods? Is that just a certain product or all of them?
That's just the AirPods is specifically Apple.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Their earbuds
But,
is the
yeah.
generic,
Earbuds,
I think.
got it.
Yeah.
Term.
So like earbuds would give me this.
Look how they got y'all.
I got them though.
Yeah.
I got them.
Yeah, look how they got y'all. They got y'all. Y'all just
Let's
Apple.
not
Y'all.
even get
You
started on the charger.
know what I'm saying?
That sometimes isn't worth it though. That's actually a good point.
Right.
Because sometimes the way that those products required that you could only buy their products. Like that's not like that's not always worth the money, y'all. Like it's okay to move away from that a little bit.
You know, the one thing that I always appreciate spending a few more dollars on is outdoor gear.
Oh gosh, yes you do.
Yes,
you do. Because you go camping.
You don't want the not good stuff when you're out, though.
No.
And he knows because my children's out there with him.
I don't know why that's so funny to me.
Because you know he camps.
Edgar Allan Poe. I only spend money on. I spend a ton. I'll spend an extra couple of dollars on outdoor camping. Like it's very specific.
like what very specifically will you spend money on?
Like
The dry food or the
freeze dried food.
Freeze dried fruit. You are an astronaut.
Is it a certain brand?
What's happening right now?
Better brands than the other.
They
Yes.
kayak and stuff and like go for like hours at a time, like
You
all
don't
day.
You don't just get on pork beans.
What's that?
You don't get baked beans. Or is baked
Yeah.
beans?
Oh yeah. If I'm car camping, I'll bring cans of beans.
Bushes. Bushes baked beans. You can't just. Yeah, why can't my man?
Talking about streaming, the commercials that he sees, Bush's baked beans.
I'll definitely bring Bush's baked beans. Yeah. If I'm car camping, if I'm kayak camping, I'll bring the freeze dried stuff because then all you got to do is boil water. You don't actually have to cook anything.
You have to boil water.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know.
You just pour water in and it cooks itself in a little pouch.
Ramen?
It's delicious.
It's delicious.
Basically, but it's like lasagna or
No, it's not delicious. It's very salty.
pork stew. Yeah.
That's-
Chili mac. My son's favorite.
Yeah,
My son would eat just the freeze dried chili mac just at home because he just loves it so much. But that's too expensive for that.
Wow.
But also the cooking gear, like anything that it's got to be compact and it's got to last years because we're using it all the time. So
Yeah,
you
go.
need to last.
They
You
go
want it
winter
to last a
camping.
few years.
Haven't I told you? Like he will go camping in the snow,
Yeah.
and I was like, "That's you do that by yourself."
Doing a
You,
lot, Rob. Doing a lot, Rob.
yeah.
Chill out.
What are you, Walt Whitman over there? He's a poet, right? Walt Whitman, or is he a writer?
Yes. No, he's a poet.
There you go. Look at that.
I got one. He wrote about
I
nature.
thought you said Walt. Who is it? Walt Whitman?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the dude from Breaking Bad.
I
Who's that? Walter
almost-
White.
I
That's
almost-
right.
I
Walter
almost
White.
said
Yeah.
Walter White.
Yeah,
I will be honest. I was like,
all right.
no, that's a TV character. Walt.
Rob is
Right?
like, please cut, please cut, please cut.
But he could leave it in for us. Because he wants
We'll leave
it.
it in.
I love this memory for him.
All right, folks, thanks for listening. Suzanne Johnson, thank you.
Thank
Jeff
you.
Mack, thank you. Stephanie, thank you.
Of course.
Appreciate the
This has
opportunity.
been the Money Mindset Podcast.